Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Live broadcast, the KALAS Cup round number 8. We are out on the downtown Dolphin in Crit City. New world made by Zwift in the last couple of months, specifically focused, obviously, on crit racing. It is going to be a dizzying race from what KALAS has told us with 23 laps. There's going to be preems in there. It's pretty exciting, though, the way that they've set up these preems because it is going to be up to the riders in some way, in a certain sense, as far as how well the when the preems can actually be awarded. Now, that is going to be because the fastest times are going to be the ones that are going to be able to get the extra points across the line for the KOM each time over the top of that climb. I do have alongside me Alex Rasmussen. Alex, welcome to the program. Going to be an exciting race out here today, and I think this is a little bit more in your wheelhouse, being 4 times champion, world champion out on the track. Pretty fast and furious racing with little bursts, I think, out here today.
You're exactly right. This is probably the closest thing we get to a velodrome on Swift so far. This short circuit crit city is going to be pretty exciting, and also with the way they set up the sprint, like you mentioned, it's going to be the fastest time uh, over the Dolphin sprint. So it's 6-4, 2 points for the 3 fastest time. But that means they could go fast each and every time. They have 23 laps to do it, so it's going to be interesting to follow. When is this lap going to be set? It's going to be early in the race or in the final?
Yeah, and I think we're getting right on into it actually right now as they are heading toward the cobbles for the first time. The race is out there 1 minute in, 0.8 kilometers so far completed out on course. Now, this is going to be the section each time we do hit the lap here. Each time on each lap, this is going to be the section that they are going to be able to battle it out for the points here. As we do have Vang here making his way to the front. Morton Vang, 11.1 watts per kilogram, quickly over the top here. We have to see if that is going to be the time that they are going to be battling it out for. I am going to be able to bring in the leaderboards here. And it does look like it is going to be a 14:28 from Hodges, actually. And interesting to see how this is working out, actually, with the riders because of the times. It's maybe not the first one across the line, perhaps, but it's rather going to be the riders that are taking the speed that they can carry with them up to that section of the course. It's because it's about the time across, it seems like, and not the first one. So really, it's going to be a race to come from the middle of the pack, perhaps. Hodges, being a very experienced rider, maybe know how to make that happen.
Yeah, it's not something we've seen a lot before on Swift, so it's going to be interesting how it's going to play out. It's not that many points, 6, 4, and 2, but it's still worth getting them. And like you said, you want to be in the middle of the bunch, so you get the draft for the entire sprint. You definitely don't want to be up the front if you want to get this intermediate sprint.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we are taking one lap down, 22 to go. We do have the women's feed as well. They're chatting away a little bit over in the pens. We'll be bringing them in just a moment once they get out on course. But this is also an interesting series in that they have been tracking, obviously, all 8 rounds. We're going to take a quick little look over at zwiftpower.com here in a minute for what the current standings are in the series. It's been all about the Canyon ZCC train, though, over and over again. But with the Tour Watopia tomorrow, I'm not sure that we're going to see a lot of Canyon ZCC showing up on the day. We'll have to take a look through and see. I think I saw Stevie Young, but the reality is that are they going to want to open up their legs today, Alex?
I mean, open up the legs is one thing. I think this is one of the longer races. It's also one of the harder races. 23 laps around Dolphin, downtown Dolphin. That's gonna be hard. I don't know if I would do that the day before a pro-am race. So that's probably what a lot of people are thinking. You could probably do half of it, or like just sit in and do half of it and just warm up your legs. But going full out, going for the intermediate sprints and doing 23 laps around here, you're gonna be cooked for tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Real quick, as we get through the top of this KOM, I'm going to head on over to zippower.com and give you guys an idea of what's happening over there with the series so far. It does look like we did have a little bit of a kick over the top there, though. It does look like at the front end of this race, it was Vidar Mail again. Now, taking a full second off, actually. That is quite the time, up into 13:28, actually. Wheeler there, it looks like, from the dropouts. 1 second back. Hodges from Evoke there alongside. But definitely going to be all about that time just set by Vidar Mail. I think it's going to be a huge challenge to better that time.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be the first 10 laps that this is going to be set. I think the final it's gonna settle down a little more, and people are gonna focus on the final sprint. So I think it's the first 10 laps you have the opportunity to get the best time over that sprint.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I'm just bringing up zippower.com real quick here, everybody, to give you guys an idea of what is happening with the racing situation here. I'm also going to do a quick little reset on a couple of things as we were getting, I think everybody saw that we were getting a little bit of lag coming through. Let me just make sure that everything is good to go, get some reconnections going here. Just to make sure that we can take care of that lag situation for all of you. As we do, though, take a quick look. This is the current series standings for the men's side of things. James Phillips, I don't even think he has to show up today. I mean, looking at this here, 201 points. The overtaking of that 35 points. Brett Boniface from the dropouts. I did see that the dropouts boys do have quite a few out there. I think really the question is going to be between the big upset from a couple weeks back from the Vikings with Havar Geldings there. He had an amazing result, took the win, obviously, there, as you can see, with his 6th race in. I think Boniface, these two may be fighting it out from the Vikings. SZ could get in there with Olsen as well as Hodges. Obviously, we did see him just a moment ago. So I think that's going to be the 4 that we're going to be looking at from the men's side, maybe with some support from Adam Zimmerman. On the ladies' side here, Vicky Whitelaw currently standing out with 258 points. We're looking at Kristen Falk there showing up with 234. Hold on to second place. Claudia Barron, I did hear that Canyon ZCC are going to be in the race out here today. So be watching out for Canyon ZCC to try and take down some points and hold on to those top spots. So, the team. I think the team does matter, especially in the ladies' side of things here, Alex, because of the reality of how this course works.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have a strong team in the end, also for the lead out. I think also Fersen is going to be somebody to look out for the final. She's pretty fast, and she's getting really close to that 3rd spot on the podium on the general classification. So I want to keep an eye out for her as well if she's racing today.
Yeah, definitely. Louis Furzine here, Rachel Elliott, Linda Isaacson, all of them, I think, are going to be battling here. As we're looking at 167, 135, 126. I mean, those are all pretty close in points, that's for sure. So now it does look like as we look to move forward to the front end, I do believe we have a couple of attacks off the front here. Again, it's going to be KALAS along with a few others making some moves. It's actually Brett Boniface here alongside of James Hodges off the front again a little bit. And Boniface, 3.3 watts per kilogram. Boniface currently holding down with, I believe, 2nd place. Yep, 2nd place overhaul behind James Phillips. I believe Boniface is going to be maybe trying to defend, though, as he does have the Vikings that are going to, I believe, trying to chase him down out here today and try and bring back some points to get into that top 3 situation.
It looks like he's really trying to go for those 6 points here in the early stages of the race. You have a long time to recover before the final. I do think it's going to be thinned out a little bit, not as much as some of the other races we've seen, but I do think we're not going to see 100 riders at the finish line. It's going to probably be around 60 to 80 riders in the end.
Yeah, I have a feeling this thing is gonna break up a little bit here at a certain point. We are seeing Nordhagen NTG here now, 185 watts, and I think that's how you can tell. Steven Ludendorff from KRT, I actually haven't seen him out here in quite a while. Good to see Ludendorff jumping into the races. Now, as we do move our way forward, Unger there, it looks like, as well as Hein Christensen. Again, moving into, there's so many riders out here today, though. We're going to have to find our way forward here. And I believe it is going to be, see if we can jump in to the front. At the front, it is going to be KALAS again going for the points, trying to make something happen. Bowen, Vidar Mail, 1228, 1282 from Boniface actually now. So they are, and as you said, the first 10 laps, maybe when these points are actually decided. And I think the riders, now that they've gotten warmed up, are really starting to open up the watts and looking to try and take down those 6 points that are an award. They are going to be awarded if they are able to get the fastest time over the top. Bowen, Mayo, followed up by Boniface. Current situation. Will they get a reprieve, though, Alex? I wonder, a little bit later in the race.
I think for sure these sprinters are definitely breaking up the peloton, and it could come back to them at the end if they keep doing this for 10 laps. Because, I mean, 23 laps around downtown Dolphin on Crit City, it's really long. It's much longer than you think. And mentally, it's really exhausting doing that many laps. So I think some of these guys need to settle down a little bit if they want to be there for the final, because I think it's going to be a hectic final. And I think some legs are going to be hurting at the end.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm looking for the ladies here. They have jumped out on course, from what I can see. It does look like we do have Leah Thorvaldsen actually jumping in out here today. Daniela is straight. A lot of the ladies actually hanging out in the tour of Watopia. It looks like so good to see some of the top esports teams on the ladies side of things in the race out here today. We will get a look at what the current standings are for the leaderboards here in just a moment. I think as they do make their way around the course here, taking a right hand turn, then a left into the cobbles here in just a moment. But at the front, it is going to be Neelan, BRT as well, Polly Mason, then Turbo though with Madsen. And it looks like Osterstead here now as well. Pole there from the KRT team, Leah Thorvaldsen. Looks like Turbo is showing up in force to try and make some things happen, though. I have a feeling that that's what it's that these two riders are out here to battle it out with Canyon ZCC today. I have a feeling that that is what this is all about, with the Turbo versus Canyon ZCC with Kristen Falk, as well as Claudia Barron, who's going to be out there supporting Falk, I think. But also Claudia pretty high up in the standings, so perhaps going to be looking for some points of her own out here.
Nathan, I actually have a question for you. I was thinking about it the other day when I was racing on Crit City. Do you think the Downtown Dolphin is harder than the Bell Lap, or the other way around?
I think the bell lap is harder simply because of when the sprint to the top starts. I mean, it's essentially a sprint, a very long, drawn out sprint. We did miss an early attack, actually. Vicky Whitelaw has gone off the front. And if there is anybody who can make something happen here and ride away from the entirety of the field, it is going to be Vicky Whitelaw from the Hino team here. 3.5 watts per kilogram currently coming from her at 180 beats per minute. So solid effort. I think she's pretty committed here, it looks like, Alex.
Yeah, I thought she was going for the sprint actually, but it seems like she's just going to keep going. But this is a long attack if she's going to ride solo for 23 laps around Crit City. It's going to be extremely difficult, but she has proven before that she can do some crazy solo rides.
Yeah, 100%. So it does look like Whitelaw is going to be caught now. Thorvaldsen, the driver of that catch, she's been so aggressive lately in these races, actually, Leah Thorvaldsen, and really a lot of times sticking her neck out for the team. And so it's good to see her putting the effort in to bring that back. And as we do see toward the front now, it is going to be Feuerzine, who is sitting, I believe, in fourth place overall in the series here. Backus now to the front, Turbo looking to control this race in the ladies' side of things. Back in with the men now, it does look like things are starting to split apart a little bit. Watching Ned Bowen, who was holding down the top spot, it looked like the third spot overall in the extra points for the preem, moving his way backwards. Actually, Bowen maybe a little bit of struggle. No, maybe just looking to find the back end of the pack. 147 is Bowen calling it on the day here. Look at this here, 2.0 watts per kilogram. I have a feeling perhaps Bowen has had his save for the day and is just moving his way backwards. It looks like one of the lap riders we can see here now. It does look like it is going to be Jankowski's actually, and Steinker there as well. Jankowski, Steinker, and Wood there toward the front now. What is the rider though? Is that the dropouts taking over toward the front there? The light blue kit that we're seeing, I believe that they've taken a liking to recently, as they don't have a kit in game just as yet. But it is going to be Berg from KALAS now. Again, into the sprint. These happen so incredibly fast and so quickly. It's almost hard to keep up with here.
Yeah, imagine if there was actually points on the line each and every time. It would be split up even more than it is right now. I'm just looking at the back of the peloton. It looks like we have around 80 riders left, and that is pretty. That's a lot of riders that's been dropped really, really early in the race. Because I was talking about 60 to 80. So if they're gonna keep going like this, it's gonna be a much smaller peloton when we reach the finish line.
And that's exactly what we'd want to see, actually, I would think. Now we are seeing Jonathan. This is the rider who did the big upset there up against Canyon ZCC, the first time that they've been taken down in quite a while. And the Vikings team now looking to try and take down some extra points, but only a 13-16. So unable to better the time there of Boniface alongside of Vidar, Mail, and Bowen. But so need to get into the top three on that preem, and with so many hard efforts into the legs here so far, I'm not sure it's going to be able to happen.
No, I think we're getting to that point we were talking about where it's not going to happen anymore. Where the fresh legs, they all been spent here in the early part of the race, and I guess the speed is just going to drop a little bit, and things start to settle in. I don't think they can do this for 23 laps. It would be amazing to watch if they could do it, but it's really really long race around Crit City.
Yeah, 100%. I think with 18, 17 to go, 17 to go. 15 minutes in here, though, this has gone pretty fast. This is such a fast course, and there's 117A riders in here. So I have a feeling that perhaps, even though we do have a situation where it is a very, very, many, many laps longer Ks, the race is so incredibly quick on this course, 50 kilometers per hour continually almost. I think if we look at zwippower.com, we're going to see, I believe, under an hour of racing perhaps here. I'm just going to double check on that. But 15 in, we've completed 5 laps, so maybe just a little bit over an hour.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be under an hour. I think they could easily average more than 45 kilometers per hour for this entire race, especially with such a strong pack. And it's a big pack as well, so it's naturally going to go really, really fast.
Yeah, 100%. So it does look like Jeldon's here. Boniface now starting to kick forward here. And this is going to be what it's all about. From the middle of the pack, what can they make happen? 3.0 watts per kilogram coming from him. Maybe some of the riders are going to start chilling out a little bit. You can't necessarily attack every single lap. And just to hang on, Hodges, though, comes with 12 watts per kilogram from the middle. That may be a move to make something happen here. We're looking to see if we can move forward to the rider. McQuaid's following him up. Hodges does go across. We can see him across the line there up ahead. And does he take it down? It looks like Hodges unable to beat that 1282. That's going to be quite the time to try and work with, actually. I believe Hodges was outside of 1343. That's a full second. There was no power up on that either. I mean, that is an amazing result there coming from Brett Boniface and Vidar Mayo, both within, from what we can see, are 6/100ths of a second.
Yeah, it was really fast time. We saw Gjelnes from Vikings try to get up there and get some of those intermediate points, but I think at this point, I think the only points that are left on the board is the final sprint, and that's really important points. So I think, especially Vikings, is gonna have to settle back a little bit, relax, and focus on the final. And I'd love to hear from Chad how you think the race is gonna develop, because it could go many possibilities. Because we see how easily it's split up on the climb, and we have these small up and downs just before the final sprint. So I'm not 100% sure it's just going to be a big bunch sprint. I think it could split up at the end.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to see actually as well if we do get a split. It'd be great to see if the riders are able to make something happen here, not just a big bunch sprint, but get a little bit of a breakaway, work together with this crit course. Lapping the field is not something we've really seen happen yet on this course in any of these races so far that we've broadcast. There may have been some that obviously out in the community where there wasn't.
I've been lapped, Nathan.
Yeah. So
it has happened.
It has happened. I'm sure it has happened. What I'm saying though, we have not seen it with.
I know.
We we haven't seen it with 6 esports teams showing up on the day though. That would be a monstrous effort to try and break away from this kind of a talent. Is what I was trying to get at there.
Yeah, exactly. I think it had to be a little bit of a shorter course, and then you could that would be actually a strategy that you could implement if you could just go full out, get back on basically the same as on track. Just go full out and you catch the peloton, and then you're back in the draft again, and then you can relax. So that would be, if it was a little bit shorter, that would be a feasible strategy.
Hodges with 1,200 watts. He wants these points. Look at this here. Oh, 53 kilometers per hour over the top here. This might take it here. It comes from the middle of the pack. Hodges, 1350. How did Boniface pull that off?
I
that must have been
Nathan,
perfect.
I think it's because the peloton is splitting down, so he doesn't get the whole draft. I think Boniface probably sat really in the back of the peloton, so he basically got the draft from the other riders all the way to the line. And I think that's the issue at the moment. It's not big enough, the peloton anymore.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Now we do have a breakaway situation though. Dovingnog alongside with Berg. It looks like Hodges looking to go alongside him here as well. And it looks like Bertelsen. And I am seeing the questions here. Boniface, it is definitely, from what I saw, I got some messages. And there were some questions actually in the stream as well over at Facebook. So the questions and what I had seen from that, and this is a great question coming on through. Anyone know fastest points or fastest KOM? And it is the for the points. Anyone's fastest lap or fastest KOM? And it is most definitely from what I saw in the stream. For the comments, it is starting at the cobbles to the KOM. So
I have it right here in the event description. I can read it. It says 642 points on the fastest time on Dolphin Sprint during race.
Yeah. So Boniface, you're currently holding it down. Well, questioning. So while asking the question, looks like it was timed perfectly there for you. So we'll see if perhaps you know there may be a tactical situation here though as well where a rider could chill out and wait for everybody to get a little bit more anxious. And at that point, once they do get a little bit more anxious, we could see some riders try to use the speed of the pack as it starts to ramp up. You know, because right now I think they're chilling out a little bit. I think everybody's like, all right,
Yeah.
that initial kick, the initial feel of pushing the pace is calmed down. Everybody's knows kind of who stands where at this point. But I have a feeling that at a certain point we are going to have a ramp up again, and using the pack speed at that point is going to be where it's at in order to grab those points again. If you're going to have any
Yeah.
kind of opportunity at all whatsoever to do so.
That's definitely going to be the last chance, the last 2 or 3 laps where the speed is ramping up. But I just don't think it's possible because we can already see the peloton is pretty much split in half, and it's going to be even smaller when we come to the sprint and at the in the end. So you really need to beat that 1282. You really need a bigger bunch, and so you can get that draft all off of them.
Now we are seeing a lot of the riders here. Harry Owen actually is out here. HBS, good to see that we've got a pro woman from UCI World Tour team actually jumping out on course here with the men. Looks like she's got the fastest lap, obviously, out here for the women in this side of the race here. So it looks like she wanted to try and throw down with the boys out here, and it looks like let's see if she can jump in back with the pack and start throwing down again. Team Pio Auto here now making their way toward the front with Tudor. There's an attack going on here that's a little bit interesting because of the lapped riders. They may lose track actually of where riders are out on course now, and as I believe. We do have a few up the road here. Yeah, Boniface here now has escaped, and he's gone unnoticed because I think they thought they caught him.
Just a quick question here. So you can draft the lap riders, right? So you can kind of
Yes,
use that.
yes, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
you can
yeah.
actually so you can kind of use that when it splits up. It's a big peloton, so it's going to be a lot of riders in front of you. So you can kind of just attack and then close the gap to another group, sit on a little bit, and then go again. So that would be another strategy to go for.
It's a very very smart strategy actually if somebody's able to use the extra um, obstacles out on course as we like to call them a lot of times in mountain biking when you're lapping riders. They're just an extra log that gets in the way. But Hamilton here, Nealon now, pole now. It looks like Hamilton was on the attack here. It looked like for a moment was unable to make anything happen with it. So it looks like got brought back into the fold. Looking to see if we can find out what the current leaderboards here. We don't have leaderboards here over on this feed though, so we'll have to wait and see. Now here we go. Got them up and running for the Preem. We have no data on them right as of yet. So as soon as we do get some data coming through on the leaderboards, we'll let you know what the standings are for the Preems here on the ladies' side to see where things are standing. But the story here though between the ladies out on course here is going to be about that Hino team battling out for the top spot still, I believe. I think that there is Vicky Whitelaw 258. There's an opportunity for Kristen Falk, as we were saying, as well as Claudia Baring, to try and make something happen. Looking through, we do see Baring though has been dropped off, so she is off the back of this at this point. Looking through, we're gonna see if has Falk made this front group still. She is still in there, so it does look like Falk at least has made the front group. In order to I believe though that for Falk, it's going to be all about just holding on to that second place because I do not think that she is going to be able to overtake Vicky because Vicky still only has 6 races. So because of
Yeah.
that, there's the reality that Vicky's going to get a big boost out here today. The rider who's going to lose out the most here is going to be Claudia Baring at 170 points, 167 for Louis Furzan. I believe Furzan has made the lead group here. We do see the German flag up there with Cryogen on the right hand side. So, unless Claudia puts in a monstrous effort, it does look like Louis is going to be able to take down third place overall in the series, barring any
Yeah.
kind of major mishap.
Yeah, I think so. And also, she only have 5 races, so she's even 2 races behind Christian Falk. So I really think that she's aiming for maybe the second place, but it's not unrealistic with still 3 races to go.
Yeah,
Or
I
two
agree.
races to go. Sorry.
Yeah, with 2 races to go, not unrealistic, but we're gonna have to see how it ends up playing out here. Back in with the men's race now, as they do make their way over toward the front toward the climb for another lap here. Keeping eyes over on zippower.com for what is going down with the estimated time of arrival in just a moment here. And I believe, looking through, it looks like we're 24 minutes in right now. And we've got an ETA on the men's A race of 54:10. 54:10. So we got about 30 minutes of racing left to go. Things have really calmed down out on course here at this point after those attacks coming through from Boniface about a lap ago. Rick Wood here, it's our Wood here coming from Innovation now, calming things down at 161. Looking through at the heart rates, 174. I'm seeing Almdale there from KALAS as well. Berg, Richards there, 3R. And again, look at the pace up here. I think everybody's kind of gotten their legs sapped a little bit after those
Yeah.
first, 10 to 15 laps. I have a feeling that they're kind of saying, okay, let's settle things down. Not sure we're going to get a whole lot out of these attacks right now, and just try and keep things calmed as we still have. They are 10 laps in, so they've got 13 to go. 13 to go at this point.
But they really still have to be focused when we go over that climb, even though that people, it's just like you said, it's settled down a little bit. I don't think people are going for that intermediate sprint. But if you don't pay attention, like almost all the time during this course here, you can easily get dropped like around the corner, these up and downs here before the final sprint or the couple climb also.
Yeah, I think that may be what's just the attentiveness the attentiveness that's needed on this course is really really intense. I have to agree with that completely, and I think that the riders are going to be on their toes the entirety of the time for this course out here today. So, David
That also
PLCC.
pushes the tempo a little bit because everybody's paying so much attention all the time. So that you have that natural momentum of people just building up the speed.
You mean like kind of just being on edge because of that? Like always just kind of a
Yeah.
little bit like, okay, need to make sure, need to make sure, need to make sure. And because
Yeah.
they're always
I want to
making
stay in the
sure,
front. Yeah.
so the positioning, the continual need for positioning, especially in Zwift racing in a pack like this, is going to make it so that it is almost a little bit more intense of crit racing, right? Like in real life crit racing, you can kind of calm down a little bit more, I feel like, than out on Zwift.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference is you can come from the back like without you don't have to push anyone. Like doesn't matter how much space there is on the road. So if you sit in back, you just push the watts and then you go to the front. So if it was more like if you couldn't move your avatar physically through the others, then I think people would really fight even more for the position. Like stay in the top 10 on the final lap. You don't want to be down where you actually can't get to the front.
Yeah, and now we're looking to the front here is calming down. Olsen, though, currently, I believe, sitting about third or fourth place overall in the series. He's definitely in a good position here for an attack. Perhaps might see something. Blackburn, it looks like. The best place to be, though, out on this course, for those of you maybe watching and wondering, is going to be toward the front end of this pack in order to fade climb, I would think. Something you like to talk a lot, Alex, is making sure you're at the front so that you can slowly work your way backward.
Yeah.
If there's an attack that goes, there's also the reality that using the pack's momentum and coming from midway and then kind of bumping up can be a little bit because if you fade climb, you're coming over the top slow. So I mean,
Yeah.
it is a tactic you have to really know what you're doing with because you could find yourself splitting pretty quick if you don't do it well.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, and you want to utilize that tactic here in the middle of the race, in the calm period of the race. You don't want to do it on the last three laps, especially because there's definitely going to be attack over the couple climbs, and then it's going to stretch out, and it's probably going to split, and then you're going to end up paying for your mistake.
Toward the front now, you can see things calming pretty much. BRT now kind of taking over. As you can see, a lot of innovation with the green and black toward the front. Pods line to giving everybody a little heart, it looks like. So it looks like everyone's having some a little bit more hand holding, not quite as intense here for everybody, it looks like, as Heidel from the Vikings is the rider that we're watching at 169 beats per minute, 221 watts currently in this KALAS Cup now. Two more races to go. We're in race number 8. We're into 11 to go. 11 to go, just completing this next lap here. Now, as riders are starting to probably think about, will there be any kind of opportunity for a breakaway situation out here?
And the KALAS Cup has been pretty huge success. I think it's been amazing what the KALAS and the Scandinavian, but even the even international community has done for this race. And it's been some longer races. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about these races that are pretty much an hour, sometimes even more, like 45, 50 kilometers?
Yeah, they're great. I definitely like that. The extra lap. It's essentially adding either like an extra lap or that extra 15 minutes or so. I think has put a lot of the riders in a position where they need to have that extra endurance. It also has another tactical aspect because the shorter races, almost everybody can kind of hang on. I think toward the end, especially on a harder course, it makes it so that things break up a little bit more, which makes things a little bit more interesting for sure. So good to see good to see KALAS, being creative as well to try and make the races a little bit more interesting and more toward what maybe some of the racers might want. So especially on a course like this, because every lap has the opportunity for that kick, as we are seeing toward the front again. Schwartz here now from the dropouts, looking to respond to some attacks to the front. We'll see if we can find the front end of the pack as we are looking for Wheeler. Actually, giving a little bit of chat here as he's somehow chatting and hanging on to that crazy amount of speed that just got pushed through. Uh, who made this move here? But yeah, I think that they do like the extra difficulty that is added on here. We do have Bevan here now, though, 5 watts per kilogram at the front. It looks like Bertelsen, Almdahl. So they've gotten a little bit of a distance here, 4 seconds, 6 seconds. Now, the on this downhill, for those of you that might not be familiar, this is the section that matters the most, keeping as much speed on this downhill because,
Yeah.
Alex, there's a reality that this is where the pack gains the most speed on you. Lodo toward the front here, 53. Mail here as well, 54. Bertelsen, 57. We'll see if the speeds match at all. Looks like these boys are
Like
giving it a go. They've got an extra 5 kilometers per hour, and they're already around the corner here. Bevan as well as Bertelsen. I don't think they're on anybody's radar to try and stay away, though. These are not names that the pack is necessarily worried about.
Oh, this definitely going for it. I didn't expect a race like an attack this early, so they might as well go for it if they don't think they have anything in the sprint. Dan Bertelsen is just a new guy for Danish bike riders, so he's up for creating an exciting race today. But I do think it's a bit too early. I think also you need more than two guys, so I don't think they're gonna panic down in the peloton. I was just thinking about that section you were talking about before the final sprint. I can never really figure it out because like it's up and down all the time. So it's really, really hard to know when to like go full gas or when to begin the sprint when you come in from that direction. It's not as simple as going on the build up.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not simple at all. The downhill section, and I actually don't have an answer for you there. Like I have no like clue where to go. Like I've seen all different kinds of sprints win, and really it is up to the riders to figure out. I think a lot of times between each other how to you almost have to kind of control the race. You have to kind of like have enough team members to make the race what you need it to be, if that makes sense. Because if you are only or be able to read the pack perfectly in order to make something happen. Because now with this breakaway here situation, now Bevan as well as Bertelsen, looks like they are going to get caught. But Boniface looking to go across here. And this is what I'm talking about here. Boniface now taking control of the race. And I think that's what you have to do on a course like this to make the pack respond to you and make them play to your cards because of the way that this sprint works out. It's undulating. It's so different. It has all these little kicks toward the end, Alex. I think that there's a lot of different places that you could make something happen because of all that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think with Team Canyon, if they were here in full strength, they would just basically do the full lead out from a whole lap before, like go full gas, sit on the front, just make sure Phillips is in top five, top 10, and then they don't have that problem with things bunching up here. But because it's maybe a little more tactical and nobody's going to do a full lead out, it's going to be really interesting to see when the bunch come in here to the final corner, how it's going to bunch up or how early they're going to go. Are they going to go from the couple climbs or going to wait a little bit?
Now it does look like we had a rider come across. Boniface then, yep, was able to make it across. He made this lead 3, but it looks like maybe too little, too late. Now it's interesting that he jumped on with them and they just backed off, or maybe the risk was misread there by Boniface. Perhaps the reality is that they probably were pretty tired at that point, going across at that point. Maybe you do have to back off a little bit after that kind of a bridge and needing to back off. The others were already burnt out, and it was just kind of said and done. So a couple of matches there burnt by the riders in order to try and make something happen. I wonder if we're going to see a counterattack here to make things a little bit more interesting.
It's so short the couple climb that it looks to me like Boniface is just kind of sprinting over it and then relaxing on top. Like he's just get it done and dusted. as fast as possible, which I also used to do on the road. But if it's a really short climb, sometimes it's better just to go in, sprint over it, and then recover afterwards instead of going in and keeping the same speed during the entire climb.
Especially if you are the kind of rider that has the kind of fast twitch kicks
Yeah,
more so than something else. I mean, I would see that, being a rider that's on the track, you probably had plenty of fast twitch muscle endurance to work with. And it just is like, why don't I just throw this little kick, get it done? And whereas the threshold and that whole talent pool, within the muscular stress that you can handle over and over again might not be quite as high, especially over only a 1 hour race. Wasting those efforts probably not something you want to do if it's not in your wheelhouse.
exactly. I think that that's a feasible strategy, but it does take the toll on you if you keep doing that, for, especially when it's 23 laps. So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend doing it each and every time, but sometimes it's just better to get it over with.
Yeah, and we're gonna jump back in with the ladies. Our feed, just so everybody knows, I'm just gonna be straight. The feed with the ladies, we had to actually switch it over to another network with one of our feeds, so it is going to be a little bit bouncy. It's nothing to do with Zwift. It just has to do that it is wireless on the network actually. So the feed is coming over wireless for us. So that's the reason being why. So if it is a little bouncy, I'll try and get it wired before the finish, as they will finish a little bit later than the men. Part of the reason why we saw things jumpy there for a little while, guy, was because there was a little bit of an overload on the network with the feeds. So nothing to do with Zwift whatsoever. Just wanted everybody to know why we were having to jump away from the ladies for a little while there and not cover their last couple of laps. And apologies on that. But Mac Rusty here from Revo. It looks like Kristen Falk still hanging back. Is there? It looks like from Turbo is still in. No attacks, I don't believe, from Whitelaw anytime recently, but we did see, I think, enough pressure put on this pack to whittle it down. I think we are down to 10 riders or so at this point. So it does look like Hamilton still able to hang on in there. Polly Mason, all the big names recently that we've seen in the KALAS Cup, as well as the Critical, as well as some of the other bigger races we did see in the Tour Watopia, obviously, a lot of these names. So the big hitters making these league groups, even on this course, which is interesting to see. I was expecting maybe on this course not quite as much, but it looks like they've been going quite hard because this has been whittled down from 33 now to just about 10.
Yeah, I was also expecting a much bigger peloton at this point, but it just I think we've seen the same pattern in all the other races. It's like the first half of the race, it kind of get maybe even the first 10, 15 kilometers of the race, it kind of get dwindled down to the strong guys and girls as well. And then they just kind of stay together until the final. It doesn't really dwindle down much more after that. Like I'm looking at the men's, it's still like 70 riders, and it was the same like 5 laps ago. So it doesn't really dwindle down that much after the race kind of settles down.
Now we're going to see if we get any more attacks here. Moving away to the front here, it's going to be Daniela Straight. I believe they're coming from the Revo team, if I'm not incorrect, toward the front of the race. No, it's actually going to be, excuse me, it's Jay Wright from Revo, actually. Interesting to see. Mac Rusty. Revo's actually stacked this field. Daniela is in there still as well. So we've got 3 riders here from Team Revo. This could be a Revo upset. I mean, Turbo's got 2. It's 2 of the high note ladies. It's just going to be Whitelaw as well as Nealon. Those are going to be the 2 working here for Vicky here. But I believe Revo here, and they're okay. So also with Revo, some of these other teams, they've been around a year plus. Revo in the last years really made their show, I think, in the world of Zwift esports. They've been a little bit newer to the scene, but have definitely cut their teeth at this point, and they're showing that they know how to race and they know how to put ladies in the field here to try and make something happen. And they're Revo is so incredibly passionate about Zwift racing. You can tell they're they're leading lots of group rides out there. Great community organization, and I think they really want to put their stamp here on this esports world. And now seeing that they've got 3 in this front group is just a testament to how committed they are to this.
Yeah, I just love seeing the community and also the really dedicated Swift raiders, and we see a lot of pros at the moment. I was just racing with Magnus Kort from Team EF Education today. We see a lot of pros at the moment because all the races are cancelled or postponed. So there's a lot of pros currently riding on Swift at the moment. So this is really the opportunity to get on Swift and try to ride with some of the pro riders.
Yeah, we do see some questions coming over at Twitch. Thanks a lot to the new viewers. It's for all of the questions that are coming through. As it's interesting the different little pockets of viewers that we get, and different people coming from different walks of life and different interests, especially on different platforms that we are streaming on. So the Twitch viewers that are coming in that are used to the gaming world are like, what is going on here? What am I watching? Thanks a lot for the answering to the questions in chat. But you are watching, these are real people powering these avatars. You can see on the upper left-hand part of your screen, 185 watts currently being produced by Bacchus from Team Turbo. That's her real heart rate, 152 beats per minute, her actual RPMs on a bicycle from her home right now, battling it out with some of the top ladies in the world of Zwift racing. And most of these ladies in this front group do ride for an esports team that they are a part of. You can see what team they ride for with the little tags next to their name on the right-hand side. Team Turbo, Canyon ZC, Bolt Racing Team, Hino, and they are battling it out for the top spot right now in the KALAS Cup Series. This is race number 8 in the KALAS Cup Series, and we're out on Crit City, which is a very short course. What is it, 2.2K, Alex? Something along that side? Like, it's pretty
I think
short.
it's 1.9 actually.
1.9?
Just looking at it.
So very short, fast lap. Now I am seeing a little bit of chat coming through from Claudia Baring. Claudia, guess who's recovering and sick? It's going to be a long solo journey. Claudia, we'll give you, if we could give you a ride on, we would, but we can't from this one right here. But Claudia, we just saw your avatar out there. Get well soon. Rest up. Thanks for coming out to the race, supporting your teammate out there. And always good to see Claudia Baring hanging out in the chat. From Canyon ZCC, as well as out there in the races. And hope you get well soon and strong again. Good to see you out there. And we'll see you most likely next week, I would think, in the Tour of Watopia if you're able to recover by then. So we're heading into the last few K here for the men's race. We're going to jump back on over there. We'll jump back in with the ladies. It looks like it is pretty much Grupo Compacto for them at this point, Alex.
Yeah, I think it's really settled down to very similar to the men's. It was full gas the first 3 to 5 laps, and then it's kind of settled down. And now there's, I think, 11 riders left, and they're gonna wait probably till the last 2 laps. I think it's gonna be really late before they go full gas on the final. Perhaps the men's are gonna start the final a little bit earlier because there's so many left. So some of these guys know for sure they're not gonna win the sprint, and if they want to mix it up a little bit early, that's the best opportunity to kind of split this peloton.
Blackburn now making his way to the front. They're from Dropouts, a new addition, I believe, to the Dropouts team. Vidar Mayo, McGoldrick there from 3R now. They're starting to take over some lap riders. Now, as you start to see KALAS here start to take over at the front end of this field, the red and black kits of Team KALAS, they're going to be the ones to watch out for, currently holding down some super fast times over the top of the Preem. I wonder if we're going to see anybody else try and take down those Preems, though, still. I have a feeling that nobody's going to want to waste their sprint, though, at this point. You know, that's a pretty big risk, unless you're going for the Preem and the race win. That could be a tactic with the kind of speed that they're going to need to take over the top.
Exactly, but then again, we're back to you don't get that draft. So if you go for the attack, you're going to be out of the draft because you're obviously trying to get away from the peloton. So I think it's going to be either or, and I think at this point, it's going to be settled. It's going to be the way the points are right now, and everybody's just focused on the 35 points at the end of the finish line.
We are looking at Bernstein here. Looks like his job is done for the day for the Vikings team. Now, just looking around out on course here, there has been a lot of carnage. I mean, look at this. So many riders that are dropping off from the main pace here. Sub from the Dirt BC team here with the little group that's on the chase. But it goes to show how fast the initial kicks were out on course here with how many little groups we see getting lapped out on course. So, it's been Grupo Compacto for a while here, but those initial laps, I think, and those sprints over the top really put a lot of riders on the back foot. And it was kind of a little bit of an eye-opener of how incredibly fast this pack can travel and how fast a sprint section like that can make the entire group.
Yeah, it really did change the dynamic of the race. I think it was going to be a much bigger group at this point if we didn't have that sprint to mix things up in the beginning. But I do think it's going to be really confusing, not only for the riders, but also for us commentating the final when they hit a bigger group in front of them. Like they go left and right, and then all of a sudden they're in the middle of another group. It's going to be really difficult to know who you're actually racing when you come in the end.
Yeah, and a little bit of correction coming on through here. Evan Benowise, thanks a lot over at the YouTube channel. He's letting us know that Blackburn's been in here since the KISS Community League. So, Nathan, big mistake there. Apologies, and thanks a lot, Evan, for the correction. Toward the front end now of the group, it does look like there's a couple more lap riders here. Things still fairly calm, it looks like. As let's just take a quick little look at some of the stats as we wait for the later attacks. So we see Wheeler here also from Team Dropouts. Swart there from Team Dropouts. Looks like the Dropout boys kind of like making sure they're kind of taking over the back end of the pack here. I think they're kind of chatting a little bit. I have a feeling their Discord or wherever they might be interacting might be saying, "Hey, what's going to be our tactic here?" And I think all the teams at this point are going to be having chats just like that, saying, "Okay, well, what are we going to do when it comes time for the rubber to hit the road?"
Yeah, that's only kind of either you believe you have the best sprinter. I would go for him. I would definitely do a really, really good lead out. Make sure he's in the top 10 going over this climb. And then you have that long straight before you go into the S's before the final U turn. So this is where I would definitely have stretched it out. And I would stay in the top 10 at this point. Here you hit the corner and then you just go straight into the S's and you want to be in the top 10 or 20 at this point.
Now looking to the front, it does look like Team Draft here starting to make a couple of moves. It looks like McQuaid now. That's going to be the red jersey. Larson here from Team PO Auto is there as well. Gleason, 3R. Olsen there in the top four or so in the series. Now KALAS making the way to the front. Goldrick taking over. Lutendorf from KRT, it looks like. Everybody, as you can see, this section of the course, as we were saying earlier, is the section where you can really make up some ground, but you got to give little kicks to make it happen here. As you are seeing riders up in that 5, 4, 6 watts per kilogram, just keeping it steady, making sure they're in a good position, because this little roundabout here, you can get dropped off very quickly, actually. Doving from Team Experimental now, making sure he's at the front as they come around the fast turns into 4 to go. 4 to go out on course here. Off the doll from KALAS now. Heino is out there as well on the left-hand side, as you can see in the red, big, white H on the back there. Then it is going to be the green kits here as well. It looks like moving forward. Blackburn here, as you can see, in the green kit. That's going to be the dropouts kit currently that they are using out on course. Canadian ZCC with Stevie Young. Stevie Young, I think he's been the workhorse for James Phillips recently. Are we going to see some effort here from Stevie Young to take it down, being the solo Canadian ZCC rider out here today? That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, he can definitely do his own race, so he doesn't have to do the lead out, which they've been doing. We gotta say they've been doing an amazing job, Team Canyon. They've been absolutely dominating until Vikings kind of got the better of them at 2 races ago. But he has the opportunity to just do his own race, young, and just maybe mix it up, maybe go a lap early, try an attack, or just do something. Really got nothing to lose.
I'm looking through here at the current stats for the day, and it does look like it's been a very difficult race. 4.5 watts per kilogram I'm seeing on average to hang on. So it's not as if this hand-holding section so far has really been easy on the riders, though. Early on, I think it was over 5 watts per kilogram just to hang on amongst these riders for the first 10 minutes or so for a lot of those who were taking those front, those little bit of what are we, wingers off the front there, but it looks like now it's backed off and brought down by a good half to a full watt per kilogram. But the flyers off the front no longer really happening as we're looking at about 3 laps to go. This is, and this comes at you so quickly. It's kind of like those laps are suddenly gone before you even know it, Alex.
It goes really quickly. It does, but still, it's a long 23 laps on this. I would really have to stay focused not to get dropped because you kind of need a rest when you do a 1 hour race. Just like little 20 minutes where you can just take a sip of water, maybe stretch your back or something. And I think we were also talking about this on another stream. Just because the avatars are sitting down doesn't mean that they are sitting down at home. So they could be suffering a lot more than you can actually see on the avatars. That you just want to keep that in mind when you're watching the stream.
So quick shout out, actually, we are seeing, was there a dropout? Did Fierzine actually have a dropout and she's just looking for the fastest time up on the top for the preem? Interesting to see. She's 30.6 here. And that, I thought that Fierzine had things locked down, but because either getting dropped off or a dropout situation, Leah Thorvaldsen's also off the back here. Interesting to see. So it hasn't been just holding hands, it looks like, for the last couple of laps here. There's been some mayhem in the ladies' race now again. So here at Madsen now, back is here now we're seeing as well. 32.4 in. So these ladies are still going to have a little ways to go here. Jay Wright now from Revo, giving a little bit of a kick. 10 watts per kilogram coming from Revo here now. Will Wright be able to take down the fastest time over the top? Here's 17:36 here. What's going to be the time over the top there? It looks like Wright not able to get into, from what I can see here, the top 10 situation or the top spots on the interesting to see on that preem there. I'm not getting any results there, but we'll have to wait and see. Perhaps the race organizer will be able to give us a little bit more. I think ZwipPower.com also is giving us live updates. Are you seeing them for the preems?
I am. I'm looking right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I see the preams. We can go through them later. I can't see all the times because there's so many of them, so I have
Okay,
to
I'll go
check
ahead
each
and
one.
bring. Well, yeah, I'll bring them. We'll bring them in after the fact to see who was able to get the
Yeah,
points here. But
let's do
this is
that.
an
But I
attack
think
situation here with Vicky and Falk actually up the front. This is the two series leaders, first and second. Daniela Strait brings that right back in though.
I do think you're right that Ferguson had a dropout because I had her as a favorite, and she was sitting in the peloton. I think last time we checked, and this sprint is really ideal for her. So she would have been among my favorites today.
Yeah, interesting to see that that happened. Too bad if that is exactly what went down there for the ladies here. And I do think this is a little bit of a warm up race for them as well for the um, what is coming up for the Tour of Watopia. I have a feeling a lot of these ladies are using this to kind of feel things out, see who's who, and
Yeah.
how things are going to play out amongst each other as they head into the Tour of Watopia next week.
And at least they have more than a day to recover, which the men don't. So that's why I'm thinking that some of the men that are also going full gas for Tour of Utopia Pro Am Series, they maybe gonna hold back a little bit today.
Yeah, and interesting to see. I mean, there's a couple of riders in here, that are coming from the Tour of Watopia teams here for sure. But what's also kind of cool is that there are so many teams now, esports teams. We still have 117 riders in this pack, right? And a lot of the riders took the day off for Tour of Watopia tomorrow, and we still have 117 riders that have shown up out here today, right? So I mean,
That's a,
that's a huge testament to how things are developing to where the community team races are starting to kind of become like your continental, right? Or your, like that status that maybe is just right below UCI World Tours. That, you know what I mean? Like, we're starting to see this differentiation in the status of the races and who's showing up to where, when, how, and why, which I think is really cool to see for the development of the sport.
yeah. I think the next step is really just I want to see some of the World Tour riders kind of just race with some of the community riders just to see what the level is. I do believe that they're not going to be able to beat the best guys because you have to know, like you see Oftedal going off the front, you have to know exactly how to race Swift, and it does take some time to get good at Swift.
Yeah, I also think that there is a reality, though, too, of um, now is this a now okay, let's just focus in on the racing here. We'll talk all
This is a
about
cool
the difference
Kalas
here. I mean,
attack.
this is a great attack here coming by Talus. Now 9 watts per kilogram here off the dog. Robertson now trying to come across from the BRT team here. This is a very good move. And is this going to stick? Actually, we still have a lap and a half to go, and they do have a 5 seconds gap here. Vang here, Morton Vang's got 7 watts per kilogram to give him 190. Off the dog, just trying to hang on here. We do see Sudal now starting to take over at the front now. These boys are starting to ramp it up. This is what we were talking about. They could take some more points, though, as well from that KOM because the pace is going to go so incredibly bonkers here at this point. Beaven now to the front here now, as we can see. It looks like it is going to be off the door. Still, there's some lapped riders between them. This could cause confusion.
Exactly.
KALAS still working together. 190 beats per minute here. 57 kilometers per hour. 4 seconds back is going to be actually 6 seconds back. Dropouts send their man Blackburn to the front to close things down. What a move here, though, by KALAS.
Nathan, this is what we were talking about. I thought Team Callis were going to do something like this, and now we have that confusion that we were talking about earlier. Lap riders getting in between Callis and the peloton. So are they going to know when they actually caught them? Could they mix it up with them? Actually, get a little bit of a draft, just a 10-second draft, 5-second draft, just enough to recover a little bit before the final lap. This is all in attack for Callis, and it is a great move.
We are into this here now, and it looks like it is a 7 watts per kilogram now. Off the doll now, 5.5, as you can see now, trying to push on through. We are 53 minutes in. Now, the ETA is at 55 here. Are they going to finish this within that time? We're on the final lap, or are we not? If I'm not incorrect, they went with 1.5 to go. I missed it coming on through.
Final lap, yes, final
Yes,
lap.
we are in the final lap. Yeah, we definitely are. As they're heading in here, I can see it on the live reader now. Here we go. 1 lap to go. 3 seconds is all they got. This pack is only 3 seconds back. We're going to see some crazy attacks over the top of this KOM. I'm not sure they're going to be able to hang on.
Yeah, the couple climb is going to be crucial right now. I think everybody's coming in really prepared for this. I think unfortunately they're going to get caught, but we're going to see a counterattack over the top of the couple climb, which they are going into right now, and this is going to be full out final last kilometer.
Yeah, and it does look like the boys here are coming through 7 watts per kilogram, but they've got no orange numbers, it looks like, to respond to this kind of a kick. Now, Rugg now going here. Who's going to the front? Berthelsen now 8 watts per kilogram. As you can see, Bevan now 11. We're going to need a lot more than that, though, to break away at all. Boniface now backs off the 5. It's going to be a counterattack here from Hodges. Hodges goes. Hodges is going to have to hang, though, here onto some serious wattage as he's only got 1 second gap. Now, the rest of the pack is sitting very well here, and it looks like 10 watts per kilogram. Little kick there from Hodges. Watch out for Brian Hodges. This is going to be the rider that's got one of the best kicks out on the Zwift. And we saw him with a crazy attack in the 3R critical. It looks like now to the front, it's going to be the dropouts team taking over. Mike Schwartz, I believe this is a lead out for his teammate, Brett Boniface, now as they come around the corner here in just a moment here. Nobody opening things up yet. Look at how stretched out the pack is starting to get, though. Here comes Goldrick now. Bevan to ACRT, up and out of the saddle. Goldrick, 14 watts per kilogram. 3R with Gleason starting to go now as well before the corner. And now it's almost over at this point. You know, if you have not gone at this point, it's pretty much said and done. Hodges trying to come through, but it looks like Bevan has timed it perfectly, and Bevan catches everybody out. Stevie Young followed up by Hodges before the corner. Now, we're learning still out on this course, that's for sure, because it was all about the kick from the ACRT Bevan. Then this is a rider that kind of went under the radar for us. Who is ACRT Bevan? Who is this guy who just took down the race? James Bevan, solid result here coming from him, and timing that perfectly. This is a rider here coming out of the United Kingdom, and it looks like he's level 22. He took down the ZHQ race actually back on the 17th. Tour Watopia stage, it looks like, as well. I'm seeing Kiss racing the AM back on the 20th of February, killing it. I mean, this guy's got nothing but gold trophies on his profile from what I can see. Great result here. I probably have all kinds of people in chat yelling at me right now. You don't know who James Bevan is. What's your problem, Nathan? What a great kick there, though, coming on through.
I think we really learned a lot about strategy. You almost want to be in the top 2 or 3 going into that final corner. It didn't really change that much afterwards. So it was so important, the positioning. And it seemed like the sprint pretty much started before they entered the S's.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened there. Is because of the kick that he pushed before the roundabout turn, it gave him the kind of gap that he needed in order to hang on to the few meters and seconds that he gained there. And I think a lot of racers are going to look at that and look back and go, okay, you have to go from this point. They waited a little bit too long. They thought the straightaway was where it was going to be at, but that was just not happening from Thursday. And again here, 17-16. Given solid efforts here to try and perhaps grab points on the day, because she is still 1 lap down. 38.6 is the total Ks here now, 52 minutes in for the ladies as they're looking to finish up their round number 8 out here. Looks like they were able to drop maybe a few more riders, actually. Some of them just really struggling to hang on. 1 second back, we're seeing with Daniela Straight there, getting a wheel there from her teammate from Revo. Looks like a Straight is going to be the rider they're most likely working for out here today, as she has got a solid sprint. And we'll see if the ladies ramp things up in a similar way into these last few laps.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that Pearson is not there for the final sprint, but I think again here we have a little bit of a different situation for the men's. I don't think they're going to go from 3 laps out. I think it's definitely going to be on the final lap over the couple climb. That's the best opportunity to get that crucial 3-second gap that you need if you want to stay away to the finish.
Vicky Whitelaw taking over to the front. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think there's enough firepower, though, in here that we may see a couple of the teams, throw a rider off the front, to try and disrupt things a little bit. If somebody's feeling good, you could see a 2 or 3 lap go. It's only a 7-minute, 8-minute effort there at that point.
Yeah, it's a short effort, and also like another thing we maybe didn't consider. It's a small group, so the peloton is not going to go that fast. So
they're
as
not
soon
going
as
to
you
work
got
together as well.
Yeah, they're
it's
not going to work
traveling as
together.
fast.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another aspect that you have to consider when you go for attack. If you get 5 seconds in this group, nobody's going to work together. You could probably stay away.
We'll have to wait and see if some of the heavier hitters are going to make something like that happen. We have seen recently Heino has been caught out quite a few times. They have not been the same dominant force in the last month that we've seen in months past, actually. So we'll have to wait and see if they're looking for a little bit of redemption out here today. They've still been very strong. They've been winning races, but it hasn't been the domination, unstoppable type situation that we saw months ago. I mean, they essentially won every race that they showed up to in most of 2019 and going into 2020. But it's
Yeah.
been a little bit different now. Some new ladies are showing up on scene. Some of these ladies have been putting in big work. Obviously, we're seeing the current GC leader of the Tour Watopia with Canyon ZCC, Scary Mary Wilkinson out there has been showing that she's got the power to go up against these Hino ladies.
Yeah, but that just goes to show that the level is just increasing overall on Swift. So Heine's just going to keep upping their game. They do have some of the best girls with Vicky Whitelaw, Cecilia Hansen, Louisa Haubach, but they're just going to keep performing and improving their level if they want to stay on top of the Swift game.
Yeah, that's what it's good. Is really what it's all about. Is that we are seeing the carrots that are being chased out there. The want to, the competitiveness is just driving the level, raising the bar all around. With every one of these riders, every one of these groups that are racing up out against each other, especially at this top end here. And it's been pretty cool to see the progression of some of the riders and their fitness levels as it does increase. Now Revo taking over toward the front, as you can see. Revo is going to be in that multicolored, techno-colored kit, as you can see, with the light blue and purple with Jay right there. You can see Revo racing there on the back of the kit. We're currently watching Mason, though, with Team Fearless. I think the solo Team Fearless, Polly Mason, she has really been pretty amazing at making these lead groups, actually, as a solo Fearless rider. She's been the main Fearless rider that we've been able to watch up front in these groups, and she's actually gotten some pretty good results in the sprints recently. We'll see if she hasn't gotten a win outright from what I've seen in any of these broadcast races, but we'll see if maybe this is the day for Fearless. But she's going to have to time things really well today. You know, being the disruptive sprint that it is, that we like what we just saw in the men's race, with those little undulations on the downhill, little bumps to go through, and as well as the turnaround, it can be a sprint that can throw a little bit of a wrench in anybody's plans if somebody's able to time things just right, as we just saw.
Yeah, what do we have left? We have two left left. Two left left.
Yep. Yep. It is
Yeah.
going to be, looking through here at the ladies' side of things, it is going to be two to go, starting right now.
So yeah, this is probably the opportunity for somebody to do something unexpected, because obviously everybody's gonna be fully aware that they're gonna go full gas over the couple climb the last time. So this is the last time to do a little sneaky attack if you want to get away and do a solo ride.
Yeah, we're looking at Kirsten Pohl here now, and let's get a look at the current situation as far as the efforts that have been put out. It does look like it is going to be Kristen Falk as well as Line here up Madsen from Team Turbo. Well, excuse me, no, Kristen Falk and Kirsten Pohl. Actually, the riders who have put in the brunt of the work out there, as well as Vicky Nealon, both at 4.2, all of them at about 4.2 watts per kilogram at the front end. I mean, that's some pretty serious efforts there. 4.24 plus in any ladies race is going to be a serious effort for the duration of 57 minutes.
Yeah, it's like we said, this is really a long race because we don't see a lot of races going past 1 hour. So I think it's really gonna change. It changes a lot of things because I think, like you mentioned, there's a lot of guys on Swift, guys and girls on Swift that can do a half an hour race, like the Pro Am series. But as soon as you get past an hour, it just changes things up a little bit.
Yeah, now it does look like Polly taking over to the front. Turbo keeping things steady. Bacchus there now, 3.0 watts per kilogram. And she is going to be, I think, the sole rider for Team Turbo that's still in this front group. Throvelson did get dropped off. No, excuse me. I think Charlotte Bacchus as well as Line here at Madsen is actually the two that have made this. So Turbo still have a couple of ladies in there to try and make something happen on the race out here today. As far as the ladies that have made this lead group that are still a part of the series overall, it is going to be, there are no Turbo ladies from what I can see in the standings right now. They may be able to jump into there if they do get a solid result out here. I am seeing Polly Mason, though, currently in 11th overall. She has a lot to gain on the race here today. She's sitting in 91 points with 11th place. And as we look through here,
only 3 races also.
And with only 3 races, exactly. So she can gain a solid 30 plus points, on the day if she does get a top podium, 28, 30, or 35 points out there today. So Polly Mason, a lot to gain. C. Vangmo, Farstead, C. Scott, all in front of her, not very far in front. She can actually jump as far up to 7th place with still 2 more races to go, actually, if Polly from Team Ferris gets a solid result. Isaacson was out there today. I'm not seeing her in this league group though. Has the Norwegian rider from Vikings made the league group? I think she got dropped off a little bit early, so she's sitting in 6th overall. Fierstein, as we said earlier, had a dropout. Too bad to see. Claudia Baring as well is going to fall in the overall. Rachel Elliott is not out here today, so there's a lot of spots to be taken over here in this overall standings.
Yeah, Isaacson looks like she's dropped with a couple of laps almost, and yeah, it's gonna definitely change up the general classifications. And like you said, Paulie Mason, if she can get a win here, with only 3 races, still 2 to go, she can really get up
We're on
towards the
go ahead,
top
go
of the
ahead.
standings. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
we're
can
on
get
the
up towards
last
the top.
lap here. Actually, we're heading into the final time up into the cobbles now. So it looks like, Lion Hair Madsen starting to set things up. It looks like Kirsten Falk, though, she does not have a rider with her, so there will be no lead out. Who's going to follow things? Hamilton from BRT. She has no riders with her as well, so Hamilton looking to take the bull by the horns here, it looks like, and make things happen on her own. Daniela Straight now following up. Kristen Falk's there as well. Orange numbers popping all around. She's got a gap, 1 second. Will she try to hang on to it? Looks like she's backing off a little bit, 174 beats per minute. Is that just from being tired, or is she playing a tactical move here? As it looks like Kristen Falk is dragging everybody across with her. This is those moments where you're not sure if you should put the effort in, right?
Yeah,
Because you want somebody else to do the work. Because if she closes this down, where's her sprint at the end?
she wants a lead out, so she doesn't want to close this down, but she kind of want to win as well. So if she can just get on the wheel and just maybe sit up for like 2 seconds, and then, like we said, this is really difficult to judge with the S's. When do you want to go? And you want to be in the top 3 going into the final corner. So this is going to be really interesting to see when they're going to kick again.
A little bit of an upset here. There's riders in the way. We've got
Yeah,
some
that's what we're
interesting
talking about.
situation. Polly Mason kicking to 7 watts per kilogram quickly there. Will she be able to upset everybody? Kristen Falk, she's caught him out. Vicky Whitelaw looking to follow. Vicky Whitelaw goes now. 10 watts per kilogram, opening up her sprint. Kristen needs to go now because Vicky is coming on with some crazy speed, but it may be too little too late at 7 watts per kilogram. I think Vicky Whitelaw comes around the corner. Daniela is straight though,
Falk.
coming with speed.
Daniela's getting it.
Here comes a straight. Will she come able to come through? She's got the speed. It looks like a straight. It looks like Daniela Straight made it happen. We'll have to wait for the official. But what a timing and the speed she came through with out of the pack. I didn't think she'd be able to bring it through there at the end, but a very different situation than what we saw in the men's race, as it was neck and neck to the line. I'm not sure who got it there. We'll have to take a look at the replay, actually, because it was very close.
We also have to check Swift Power, because even the replay, we're not always 100% sure.
Not always 100% sure. Exactly. So we'll have to wait and see here. I'm going to see if I can grab the replay here. Amazing sprint, though, all around from the ladies. And see if we can bring.
So I think Kristen Falk, she definitely got caught out because she had to close that gap. I think she maybe put in a little bit too big of an effort, and then Vicky Whitelaw was just sitting on the wheel, and then she was able to come across the top in the end.
Looking through here, so real quick, let's see. I think you're right. Did you see it? Is it actually in SwiftPower.com right now?
I only have the live. I don't have the results yet.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see if we can bring something up. But here we go. This is what we saw on camera. So it does look like Falk here sitting at 4.2. Is this a little bit earlier, actually? Yeah, this is a little bit earlier. That was during the men's sprint. And, of course, it's black for the one that we wanted. So this is interesting to see. Sorry about that, guys. Looking at the men's sprint. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. This is the replay from the men's side of things. Schwartz was leading things out, as you can see. Goldrick came through at 14 watts per kilogram. I thought that was the right timing right there, because it's right before the turnaround situation. Low comes on through now. Beaven 21 watts per kilogram. That's absolutely insane. What kind of numbers are we talking about now here from ACRT? We'll see if that gets flagged or not. Because, I mean, that is out of this world kind of wattage here. I mean, but looking through here, it looks like Young may have grabbed it at the line. I haven't looked at the official results yet for the men's side of things. But that was, I have a feeling ACRT
he was second on the official on Swift Power. So he was second in front of Hodges.
In front of Hodges. Got it. So it looks like Young was able to take it down for the men's side of things.
That's a pretty good lead out guy that can be.
Beaven for the lead out guy. Yeah. Oh no, you mean Stevie Young?
Phillips.
From Phillips, Stevie Young. I mean, it's kind of one of those old school, Renshaw Cavendish type situations. He accidentally wins the race. So Stevie Young, though, here looks like only by 2/100ths of a second, though. Hodges was right there with him, obviously. Gleason a little further back there coming in, and then it's going to be Connor McGordick. It's going to be Bragg Bergen, Brett Boniface, Sarah Lowe, followed up by Pierre Johnny Deving, Martin Rose, Almdahl, and then Havard Jeldins coming out of the Vikings team. On the ladies' side of things, we'll see if we can get that replay. For some reason, it did not register for us. Once in a while, that does happen. I am working on perhaps one more try, and we'll bring in the ladies replay if it does register for us. But it looks like it's going to be mean and not like us for some odd reason, even if we push the button. So it looks like on the ladies' side of things, Daniela Strait did nip it at the line there, and that was that, as you guys saw, coming right to the line. Vicky had the gap around the corner, but it looks like it was very well timed from a straight and some solid effort there and kick. I think a straight sat in quite a bit more. If you look at the watts per kilogram, it was 3.5 there from Daniela. Vicky came through with 4.0 on the day, a lot more work. Kristen Falk with 4.2 on the day, really the workhorse compared to the three of them, and still coming through in third place. And I think Kristen Falk is securing for herself still a top two overall in the series.
Yeah, that was definitely going to change things up a little bit on the general classification. So it's going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing the next two races if you can catch up. Just looking at just trying to find the GC for the ladies. Did you have it just before?
Yeah, I got the GC for the ladies. The ladies GC, we've got Vicky Whitelaw, Kristen Falk, followed up by Claudia Baring. So 258, 234, 170 is the situation between them.
Yeah, so Vicky Whitelaw, she basically has it locked up at this point. It's going to be really, really difficult for Kristen Falk to get the win.
Yeah, because once it does get updated, she's going to gain a full 30 points. It's going to put her at 288, actually. So we'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out here. But solid racing all around between all of the riders in the men's and the women's side of things at the higher end. I want to just give a quick shout out to KALAS. Amazing job to the KALAS team putting this all together. We are looking forward to the next 2 weeks of racing the final in the series. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit those follow buttons on all the places that you may be watching: Facebook, Twitch, Mixer, as well as YouTube. Turn on your notification bells, anytime that we go live. We still got a stream for you later tonight. That's going to be with the KOA Sports League. They just launched their new league. There's a big announcement that came out earlier this morning from their race earlier this morning, U.S. time, their evening in Australia. The Chop is on its way back. Make sure to check out the announcements with that later tonight in the KOA Sports League race. They're doing an amazing job. Productions are awesome. The racing's awesome. Private racing, private leagues. Pretty cool. A lot of stuff that the community's been looking for quite a while. Alex, what's going on next with you? I mean, you've been doing this Felt.ek series for a while, and is that still happening?
Yeah, Felted.dk. We have 2 more races to go. We have it next Tuesday at 8:15 Central European time, and it's gonna be Volcano. It's gonna be Volcano circuit counterclockwise, and then the last race is gonna be Downtown Dolphin. But we're gonna have intermediate sprints each and every lap, so there's a lot of points on the line for the final race.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Make sure to go check that out. It's going to be over on DBR Live, I believe. So that's the place to see that. And then for here on Zwift Community Live, obviously later tonight, we've got the KOA Sports League. And then be watching out for extra streams like what we did with Mujwale and Vivid Cycling back on Tuesday. You can check out those replays of that on YouTube. Some cool meetup stuff going on. Lots of messages being thrown around as well as everybody's going, social distancing, going into quarantine, lockdowns and stuff like that. Zwiftcast, we recorded at 2 a.m. this morning, Central Standard Time. Zwiftcast, Simon Schofield just put that out, me and the llama. And Simon had a great time chatting all things social distancing and Zwift, so it's been pretty good. And we will see you guys out on Zwift. I'm going to go get my ride in. Great job to all the racers out there and the riders. And for all the results, make sure to check out ZwiftPower.com and follow those KALAS boys. They're doing a great job with this organization. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, ride on.